Hello everybody, welcome back to Space Pickle Designs. Today I have an unboxing, a review, and tips and tricks for the Bead Buddy one-step ear wire maker. If that sounds good to you, then just keep on watching. Okay, so this is how it comes. I've already opened it, but this is how the tool comes, and the directions are on the front here. I picked mine up at Joann's, and if you're like me, you kind of want to start adding some, special elements to your jewelry. Maybe you want to use a craft wire that's a unique color and you want to have your ear wires match. Well, this is why I picked this up. Normally when I make ear wires myself, I just use these bail making pliers right here, these like graduated step pliers here, and I can make them pretty quickly. But I just thought that maybe this tool would make it more uniform and more aesthetically pleasing. So I bought this tool. It's pretty much fully plastic. I think this part is metal here. These two parts are metal, but everything else is completely plastic. As you can see, there's like an acrylic little disc. I actually don't even think that's acrylic. I think it's just straight up plastic, but everything in here, the mechanism, everything is plastic. So I got mine at Joann's, and normally it's $24.99, but I had the 40% off coupon for a regular priced item, so that brought the total to $14.99. As you can see over here, I've made various types of ear wires already, ranging from 24 gauge, 22 gauge here, and then we have our 20 gauge here, which is my personal favorite. On the actual box, it shows that it's good for 20, 22, and 24 gauge wire, and that's going to be craft wire or German style wire. So I'm just going to show you here some examples. These all look uniform, but man, I'm telling you, there was a little bit of a learning curve. I made probably 5 or 6 different ear wires before I actually got one that looked pretty good. And that's because this tool has a little bit of a learning curve that's a little tricky. So personally, I would go for a 20 gauge wire or a 22 gauge wire. I would not use a 24 gauge wire, but for the sake of this video, we're going to start with the 24 gauge, and this is just craft wire. This is a bronze parawire. I'm going to zoom you in close and I'll show you how to use the tool. So when you have this tool, you have this face up. You want to spin this down, open your pliers up, and then you're going to feed in your wire through, you're going to have this closed. You're going to feed your wire through here, and you're going to feed it in those channels. I don't know if you can see that very well because it's a bronze wire, but we'll move on to different colors and you'll be able to see it more clearly. So then all you're going to do is just squeeze, and it creates that that earring shape. So the first little tip and trick here is just gently unsqueeze and then take your fingernail and pull from the loop. That'll pop the ear wire out more efficiently. I just pop it out into my hand, and that's what a 24 gauge craft wire, this dead soft wire, that's what that ear wire looks like. Put that off to the side. I'll show you again. We're going to close our acrylic or plastic disc here, open the pliers, take out the wire, close the pliers, squeeze. You can open the disc up, gently open the pliers, take your fingernail, lift from the loop, and then out into your hand. Now, as it says on the packaging, I've cut all these wires into 2-inch pieces. It shows you right there. It's a 2-inch long piece right here. And I've made flush cuts on both sides so that we're good to go for making the ear wires. Now, as you can see here, they make the tail pretty long. So that's a longer, and what I mean by tail is this part right here. That tail is a little bit longer than I would normally like for it to be. But for the sake of my storage, I would probably store them like this after because this is craft wire, we're going to need to put this on a bench block. You put them down like this, and then I have a nylon hammer, and you would just pound that in order to harden the wire. As you can see, looking up close here, some of the loops aren't entirely closed. You'll still have to manipulate that with your pliers, so that will take extra time. Put those off to the side. The next wire that I'll demonstrate here is the 24 gauge German style wire. Now this is a medium temper wire, which I actually, for the smaller gauges, I would prefer using the German style wire for this tool. So we're going to close that disc up, open the pliers. You're going to feed it through the channels, and now you can see a little bit better there where that wire feeds into. The second tip I'm going to tell you about is don't just squeeze your pliers like this. Make sure you're putting some pressure on this tail, because I've had the wire pop out from this. I'll squeeze it a little bit from this little place right there. There's a little gap between the clear part and the black part. So your wire will pop over that, and then you won't get that shape that you desire. So I just keep my thumb gently on that edge, on that tail, while I'm guiding it down. Do a full squeeze. Pop the disc down, gently open the plier, take the fingernail, pop the loop, and then into the hand. And like I said, for the 24 gauge, and I don't think I would ever make 24 gauge ear wires, but I know there are some of you that like to have a smaller ear wire, but I would use probably that German style wire. And this is a Bead-alon 24 gauge, and this is a round wire. Okay, we'll try one more time with the German style 24 gauge. Feed it into the channel. Have your pliers open. Guide the wire down. And as you can see there, it did actually pop out of that channel. So I'm just going to gently take this wire up and over. Close that disc back up. Make sure my thumb is on there. Close it down. We're good to go. Pop it open, gently open the pliers, pop the loop up, flip it into the hand, and there you go with the 24 gauge German style. Next, we're going to have 22 gauge craft wire. This is soft flex. Again, close the disc, open the pliers. Take one of the 2-inch pieces. Keep your thumb on that tail, guide it down. Pop the disc up, gently open the plier, pop the loop off, flip it into your hand. We have a nice copper ear wire there. Another piece of 22 gauge soft flex. This is dead soft. Feed it into the channel. Right there. Gently open the pliers, pop off the loop into your hand. And there we go. That's a 22 gauge craft wire. We'll set those off to the side here. I'm gonna make sure I work harden those. So all these other ones that I made have been work hardened. Here's some green ones in the 20 gauge that I made, which are stunning. I love that green. I also made some in black. So that's the advantage of making these yourself, because you can get the colors that you want. Next up will be, let's see, this is going to be 20 gauge in the gold. This is soft flex as well. 2-inch piece, open your pliers up, feed it through the channel. You can definitely see where that's supposed to go now. Feed it through the channel, hold the tail. And this creates a nice sturdy ear wire. Gently open the pliers, pop off the loop into your hand. There you go, 20 gauge with craft wire. We'll do it one more time. Feed it through the channels, hold the tail. Pop it down, gently open your pliers, pop the loop off into your hand. Okay, 20 gauge craft wire right there. I next have this antique bronze, and this is 20 gauge parawire, in case that's the brand that you're using. Feed it into the channel. Again, same. And we're just making them left and right. Once you get the hang of it, I do think it does save time. It's just if you like the shape of that ear wire, that's gonna be your thing. If you like that shape. To me, it still needs a little work. It's not very unique, but that's okay. Some pieces you don't need a super unique ear wire, especially if the earring already has a lot going on with it. Yeah, this is pear wire, and they're both dead soft wires, so I don't really see anything different in terms of how it's maneuvering in the tool. It's just whatever you have on hand. Here we go. And lastly, I cut a few pieces of 20 gauge German style wire. Now this is the medium temper wire again. This is in the silver color. Gonna go ahead, and it's definitely, you're gonna need to get that grip strength up because it's definitely a medium temper. With this 20 gauge, I don't believe you will even have to work hard in that on your bench. I think it would be fine just as is, but you can do it just to, for your own little peace of mind. Again, feeding in a piece, holding the tail, flip it down. There we go. Do one. We'll do 2 more pieces just so you can get the flow of it. Hold the tail, squeeze, pop down. It really doesn't take very much time at all once you get the hang of it. Our last piece here. Just squeeze the tool, pop it down, open the pliers slightly, pop it in your hand. Okay, and that's going to be your German style ear wires right here in the 20 gauge. So yeah, they're all pretty uniform. I do enjoy that. I will have to, like, there are some finishing touches that you will have to do, or that I suggest that you do. So I will get those ready, and then we'll come back. Okay, so for your finishing touches, you have your, let's just pick out one of these ear wires here. You have this ear wire. Now this is a 20 gauge para wire, craft wire, so dead soft wire. It's shaped in the shape that you want it to be. However, on the edge, you still have a scratchy edge, and that might hurt somebody if they put it through their ear like that. So what you're either gonna need, you're gonna need a manual cup burr or a battery powered one. So right now I'm just gonna use the manual, and they look like this. They come in little tubes. Normally you can find these in your craft store too. And the tips of them will be suitable for different diameters of wire. Okay, so this is a cup burr tool. This is just a wire end rounder. Beadalon makes a battery powered one, and it's actually a beading I think, a bead reamer, and you can change out the part for a cup burr. So that'll be cool. But anyway, this is just a manual one. What you're gonna wanna do, you see the tip of that? You're gonna put that end of the wire into the cup burr, and you're gonna just go back and forth, and it's just a little file, and you're gonna go back and forth and touch, and go back and forth and touch, and make sure that you're smoothing out the edges of that wire. And that's just for your customers. After that, you usually want to take your bench block, especially if you're using craft wire, which this is dead soft wire. Now this is a 20 gauge, so it will hold its shape pretty well, but what you're going to want to do is take your nylon ended hammer and just give it some taps, and that will help flatten out the loop as well. Give it a couple taps on one side, give it a couple taps on the other side, and then it's ready to use. And after that, you'll feel that it's substantially more firm. So for this, I've worked hard, and this is para wire as well, and this is a 24 gauge, and I used it just to see if we could use it. And I honestly do not recommend using a craft wire for a 24 gauge earring wires, just because I've even worked hard in this quite a bit, and it's just still so flimsy. I'm just gonna show you how, like there's no, just don't, I'm just gonna throw these in my little scrap pile. There's just nothing to that wire, and that's just not, it's not what it's made for either. And that's not Parawire's fault or anything, that's just not what it's made for. So I made 22 or 24 gauge German style wire, and these are already substantially more firm than the craft wire right off the bat. And then you would just take your nylon hammer. You can flip them. And I believe that these would stand up to your earring if that's the type of gauge wire you like. I think the lowest I would go personally is going to be a 22 gauge, but this is an option and that's what the tool says it's there for. Okay, so after you've finished off those 2 little tips there, your ear wires are ready to use in your projects. You got the green here, the black, the gold, we've got the silver, we've got the copper, we've got the gold and the smaller. It's just so much fun. We got the antique bronze here. We've got it all. So this is just a nice little activity that you can do on the couch. Just measure out your 2-inch pieces of wire, get your ear wires going, and then just have a big old stash for when you want to make jewelry and have it off to the side of your workbench. Okay, if you have any questions about this tool, just leave them in the comments down below. And if you like beading content and other reviews, bead tools, bead chat, consider subscribing. And until next time, stay safe and well. Bye.